Welcome back to Big Talk. It's me, fredbiggiesmalls, my co-partner over there, Rashaad Scott, and today we have some incredible guests. We have IFBB pro Eddie Papiro and legendary bodybuilder Jack London in the house. So thank you guys for being here. Before we get into these great stories, I gotta say one thing. I want to give a special shout out to and prayers to Jacob Blake's family, and prayers that all this insanity with cops and people getting shot, black, white, Asian, whatever, can stop, because it's upsetting. It's extremely scary as a black man and as a father to my son. So I'm praying that we can get better with this whole situation, because this is horrible right now. That one really got me. But this is not a political show, so we're going to get into some bodybuilding talk. So what's up? What's going on?
Nothing. Just training hard and trying to get ready for this upcoming show I'm doing, and trying to stay healthy. And 40 years in this game, it gets harder every year, but I'm loving what I'm doing. I do it for the love of it.
Yeah, damn right.
Yeah. You introduce yourself, Jack. He normally tells you to, but he forgot.
Well, since he introduced me already, but I can introduce myself too. I'm Jack London. Been in bodybuilding since I was 12 years old, which last June would have been 40 years.
Wow.
I should say weightlifting, because I was a powerlifter first.
Bravo.
I run a regional bank in the area, and just loving life, man. 52 years old and still hanging and banging.
That's what's up. That's what's up. And just a side note, I met Jack back in 2005, 2006?
Yeah, I think it was 2005. You had your gym over there. And
yeah. And long before I said I was going to take bodybuilding serious, Jack was like, you can be a pro. You're going to be a pro. If you put your mind to it, you'll be a pro.
I told you.
So, yeah,
so he was from day one. I said, that guy's going to be a good pro.
Yeah, he was a supporter from day one. So
yeah.
I'm glad we still got a relationship. I'm glad that you're helping me out with big sports. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then of course you got my partner in crime, my brother Eddie Papiro, in the house. When I was coming back in 2017 from crazy sickness that I got, from being over in Hong Kong, and thought, I don't know if I want to do this. I mean, Eddie was the one pushing me and driving me to get better and be better. And we didn't finish it off properly, which had nothing to do with our training, but the prep was incredible. Training with him and experiencing, and then we've just become almost like family, pretty much family since then. So what's going on, brother?
Not much, just happy to be here. Ed Papiro, father, small business owner, and IFBB pro bodybuilder as a part-time. Part-time, full-time.
It's part-time for all of us, man.
It is. It's an awesome experience. I really enjoy it. It definitely brings out the best of you and the worst of you sometimes. But for sure, I like to wake up every day and push myself. I think bodybuilding has pretty much showed me how to be a businessman as far as managing my time and swallowing the sacrifices to get to where you want to go.
Yeah.
What I love about Eddie is his positive energy. You come in the gym, as soon as you see him, you're always positive, you're always on top, you're always training hard. There's always, no matter what's going on, you're always 100% in.
Appreciate that.
That's important. There's a lot of positive energy. It comes from you too, Freddie. You too, as well. And Chris and a lot of people on your team. And, I've seen so many people, as you can imagine, over the years come and go. And it's always refreshing to see that, especially for me, it's a positive energy.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think that mental toughness that comes with being a bodybuilder can translate to any walk of life. If you can be good at this, you can be good at anything.
For sure.
But, no doubt, Eddie's coined some phrases that people are now using, you know them.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
The one that always rings in my head when I'm training is "Let's go, champ," and all, both feet on the gas. So those resonate with me consistently, because a lot of times I got so much going on that it can get in there and just kind of be exhausted from everything else, and hearing those words in my head make me jump.
I was a little disappointed, because the first time he called me champ, I thought he was being, it was for me. And I realized he calls everybody champ. So I didn't feel so special anymore. But It's still a good thing.
It's like Chris when he tells you he loves you.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, he knows that's his thing. I noticed that. I'm like, that's a little weird.
Right?
All right, okay.
I was like, oh man,
My man.
He's related, and you know what I'm saying, to somebody. I'm like, oh, that's not sincere at all.
Right.
That's not sincere at all. But yeah, man. So what got you into bodybuilding?
Well, actually, I didn't get into bodybuilding at first. I was a fat kid. I was about 12 years old. I was 11 and a half, going on 12, and I was down at Wildwood. And I stumbled across the Tillis gym. And I walked in there and I met Brian McVan and Mike Luca, who had owned the gym at that time. And I was a big kid. I was 200 pounds in the 6th grade. And I had messed around with weights here and there, but wanted to get serious because I wanted to get in shape for, I was going into 7th grade and really wanted to, you know, get big. And I went to my dad and I said, Dad, can I have, you know, I don't know what it was, $100 to join the gym. And I spent almost every day in that gym, whether it was training or, you know, because
At 12 years old?
At 12 years old.
Wow.
You know,
At that
they-
time,
Well, he was
Oliver
200
thing.
pounds.
well, at that time, Joe Miko was there, Jeff King was there, Arnold Schwarzenegger would come in, all the wrestlers, Bob Backlund, Hulk Hogan, no, not even Hulk Hogan yet, but The Rock's dad would come in with The Rock as a kid. I met Andre the Giant once.
Oh wow.
And I didn't know who these people were. You know, I was just hanging out. I was the young kid. But they embraced me. They really embraced me, and sort of taught me. You know, back then it was like a cult. You know, it wasn't like it is now. It was like there was a
Yeah, I
few
get
of
it.
us that were, and it was like we hung out together. We went to the beach together, and we were all, you know, everyone thought we were kind of weird, and I was cool with that because I wanted to be different. Right?
Yeah,
It's like
for
Arnold
sure.
always says.
Yeah,
You know,
for sure.
the worst thing you could ever be is just like everybody else. That was always my thing. So anyway, getting back to why I got
That's
into
good
bodybuilding.
stuff, man. Good stuff.
So then I didn't get in, like a bodybuilder, I started getting really strong. By the time I was in, you know, 8th grade, I was playing football, and by the time I was in high school, I was bench pressing 500 pounds and squatting 800 pounds, and I was a world champion, as you know, a teenage champion, and I was an All-American college powerlifter. You know, 600-pound bench, 900-pound squat, 900-pound deadlift. Went on to be an All-American and did that on a world scale too.
What was your weight doing those?
Oh, 300.
Wow.
In fact, I'll tell you a funny story.
So I put up, man,
Listen,
290.
May I interject?
Yeah, it was your
I
gym.
won't have anything that exciting to tell you guys, but I may be funny at some point, but I definitely didn't accomplish any of that stuff yet.
Not yet. Not yet.
Well, here's a good
Getting there
here's
now.
a good story for you. So, 1988, I win the not only did I win the National Powerlifting Championships, but I was pound for pound the Schwartz formula, the strongest guy there,
Yeah.
which always goes to the skinny guys, but the super heavyweight guy was kind of
That's
a big
crazy.
deal. So a week later, I get a phone call, and my mom goes, now, you know, back this is 1988, they didn't have
Cell phones,
you know,
Yeah, on the wall, yeah.
She's Jackie. Somebody's on the phone for you. Who's on the phone? I don't know. Some guy, John Paul from. He says he's calling from Iceland. It was John Paul Sigmarsson. Do you remember him?
Yeah,
So I get on the phone with him and he says, Jack, it's John Paul. Now, he doesn't know me from Adam. And he's like acting like, you know, Jack, because he saw my name, he saw me on the rankings. We're starting this thing and we're gonna get this thing together and we're gonna get we got some football players and we got some Olympic weightlifters, a couple of those big shot putters. We want you to come up to Iceland. We're gonna do this thing. I said, what is it that you're gonna do? He goes, we're gonna call it the World's Strongest Man competition. I got invited to the
shit.
first one ever.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's correct. It's true.
Wow.
And
So
so,
awesome.
and
That
so,
is awesome. I didn't even know. I never heard this story.
so that summer, my dad had a big Fleetwood Cadillac. You remember the big black? He had a black one. It looked like a big hearse almost. Like.
Right.
So he would put the car in neutral, and I would lift it because I was like ungodly strong even as a kid.
Mhm.
And I ended up almost tearing my hamstring off the back of my. I never made it because I pulled my hamstring so bad. But yeah, I actually got invited to the first one ever.
Wow.
And so that's kind of a proud thing for me. But anyway, so now getting into powerlifting, I was
Just to stop you, our stories are disturbingly similar.
I'm sure.
Disturbingly similar.
Well, yeah, you were powerlifting.
I started out because I was an overweight kid, and my mom brought me to this gym when it was in a different location.
Well, I think our stories are gonna be even closer than you think when I get done.
Go ahead, do that thing.
So
That was a nice pause and cut off. That'll come back to me.
So I end up going into powerlifting, and I got literally won every show there was, and I got bored. Every meet there was. I never took second. So I decided to lose weight. Right? And as I was losing weight, I wasn't losing weight to get I didn't say to myself, I want to be a bodybuilder. So I started losing weight. I lost about 100 pounds in a year. And one day I was in the gym, and this girl comes up to me, and she says, She looks at me, she says, "Are you in magazines? Are you like a bodybuilder? Because you look like one of those, you should be in magazines, because you're like one of those bodybuilders in magazines." And I was immediately like, okay, where do I sign up? This bodybuilding
I know it was coming.
This is for me.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's like Dexter. I did it for the girls. Good. What's up?
So
why not, right?
Yeah. So I competed. The first show I did was Mr. Northeast Philadelphia. And I took second, and I was hooked. A few weeks later, I did the Mr. Delaware County.
Yeah.
This is 1989. How old are you? How old were you in 1989?
9.
13.
Yeah, you were 9.
I was
I
9.
wasn't even the idea yet.
Right. So anyway, so that's
No,
how
I was already
I don't want
lifting
to
too,
continue
though.
it about me. The whole thing to be about me. I could go on and on and on, but that's how I got into bodybuilding. And then, as you know, there's, I went on to do some other things that we can talk about. But I want to hear from Ed too.
Fred got me into bodybuilding.
Did he?
Yeah.
Fred gets everybody into bodybuilding. He's not the only person he didn't get into bodybuilding.
Listen. I
You
did
got me
not.
back in the
I did not grow up in the gym. I did play sports. I was a crazy love with wrestling, but it was like a super. You had a barbershop, we're always in a pinch for money, so you had a little extra square space in the downstairs of the gym. Rented it out to a really good friend of mine, my best friend's cousin, to Monk. So I'm in there getting my hair cut, and I'm like, fuck, man, I like this, And then those guys started lifting. Christopher started lifting, and I said, well, let's do it.
How long have you been training seriously?
I was really young then. I was in my early 20s then, but all I did was bench. And I only kind of just had a membership. I didn't have a program, or we looked at him. He was still, that's when you were just coming up. So then Freddie he came over here. I came back, I was about 30 years old. Chris was doing a show. He was going to do Philadelphia. And then he decided he didn't want to do it. So I said, give me the underwear. I did like a 6 or an 8 week prep. And I did, it was in Brick, what was it? It was the Gold's Classic. It was
Yeah,
a
it was
Ben
NBC,
Francis show.
I had 3
We
guys
did
on the
pretty
show.
good, yeah. And I beat one of them.
You beat one of them. The
He
guy,
was so mad,
the guy,
dude.
So here's the deal, right? Like this thing called bodybuilding,
I did not know
genetics
that.
do play a part,
Oh,
right?
no kidding. That's
So,
why I asked him, because
Yeah.
look at him, man.
It was
like
pretty
tank.
fucking
It's a
cool,
tank.
man. Yeah.
But it was cool because the guy was harder than him, but Ed's frame was just so much better. But the next time Ed came back, nobody was touching that. So, how did that work?
So then I had a layover because I had, I have a daughter, then I had a son, and he was born visually impaired.
Right.
So, how you get, I was very, I guess, depressed. I had buried my head in my work, maybe the bar. And then I had another kid that was visually impaired. So that was probably that was pretty devastating. So we were already wrestling with my oldest son at that point. He was 6, he was 4 when my other one was born. Yeah, because they're 14 and 10. So he was 4, the little one was born, 4 years old, 5 years old Anthony starts wrestling. That was 2017, that's when I came back. I was pretty, wasn't in bad
I
shape.
think you were in 2016.
16, yeah,
Yeah,
that's what it
because
was.
you came and visited me in the hospital.
He got sick. I came seeing him. Then I said, let's do it again. And I'm telling you, I wrote it on a piece of paper. I said, we'll do a show. We'll do another show to qualify for nationals. Then we'll turn pro. And we
You and
did.
Phil Heath.
Well,
No, I'm saying, like,
I don't
40
think of
years,
it as that
I'm still
hard,
trying to do
man.
it.
Yeah,
He
and
does it
that's
in 3
and
shots.
that's what I've come to believe, though. I have a lot more respect for it. I understand how hard it is, but I don't know. I put my foot on the gas. I'd never listen to anybody else. I'm not doing all the fanning, but people don't have the discipline to just listen. So I just put my whole heart into it. I trained from a place of, being very upset, and we were very successful.
Good outlet for you.
We were, yeah. I
And you should tell about your sons, how things have worked out.
Yeah, so in that short period of time of, using bodybuilding as like a platform where so I could have a voice, a personal outlet, they had clinical trials. The oldest was in a clinical trial, and in 2016 he received an injection in each eye that restored the rods and cones in the back of his eye, which gave him permanent vision. He was diagnosed as a baby with a retinal condition that would have made him go totally blind in his early 20s. So then but it was a clinical trial, so now I also know that I have a second son that does not qualify for the clinical trial because it's in a phase 4, So then we were going to have to hope for a licensing of the drug, which went from him being an infant to he got treated at 6. So Anthony got it at 8, Nicholas got it at 6, and it's kind of like a miracle. So Ant's was free, and Nicholas's was $850,000. Luckily, we had insurance, and they covered most of it, a piece of it, whatever it was. The rest was covered by the people who created the drug. They donated the difference.
Yeah, good for you.
Yeah,
Nice.
so it was
Good for you. God bless.
all that, while we were weightlifting, and
Yeah, you were keeping me abreast of stuff.
it was really cool, man. It really was. Everyone in the gym came to all the fundraisers that we ever had, and
I didn't know about any fundraisers.
You
That was
just came
before-
back.
yeah,
Yeah,
'cause
I
I-
didn't have them after they were cured because
Yeah, why would you?
the foundation was absolved, and I didn't really have any more
Yeah.
place to. They joined with the foundation to fight
Remind me to write
blindness.
you check on the way out the door.
My man. So yeah, that was bodybuilding was different for me. I didn't get into it from a love as a child. That wrestling was my thing in sports, but once I got into it, I was hooked because it's that individual. It really is you versus you. And I used to tease and want to look at the other guys, and he told me your competition's not in the gym. It's out in the world somewhere.
Well,
Lately I feel like it's
your
from the Middle East because
Actually,
that's the guys that are winning where I'm at.
People ask me all the time, how'd you last 40 years in bodybuilding? I say, well, my competition's me.
Yeah.
It's not really anybody else.
When you get older and a little bit more mature,
It takes a little time to figure that out.
yes, exactly.
You got to make some mistakes like I have too, and you begin to realize what you're doing and why, and sometimes you have to think about how what you do now is going to affect you later.
Yeah, I think it's funny because hearing you say all this stuff now and hearing you talk, it's like it's all, because I've seen the journeys, and I've seen what you were a PDI pro. Was it PDI?
Yeah, well, I was for about 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And
you did the Night of Champions, and and you've done the pro show and taken top 5, and it's like, being a part of that is really cool. That's really cool.
It still doesn't seem real. Pinch me, Chad.
And I did novice, got top 5.
There you go. My man. Don't discount. You still have to train for it.
You went to bed hungry every night.
That's it. But
Part of the club, champ, as far as I'm concerned.
That means a lot coming from you.
I think that mentality, that dog mentality, it's what's helped me continue to go because but it's a difference, and this is why I tell people if you want to be great in bodybuilding, there truly is no balance. There really isn't. Like the people try and balance it, but to be great in bodybuilding, it's got to be about bodybuilding.
So I have a story about that. I agree with you. Not that I'm great or ever was great or could have been great, but I remember being in Venice Beach and Ed Connor's telling me to pick up Jay Cutler. He said someone's coming from Boston. First, actually, this 2 weeks before that, he said I need you to drive to the airport and pick up somebody who's coming in from Australia. So I did and picked this kid up. He was about 5'4", 250 pounds, and brought him to the gym and trained with him. And 2 weeks later, it was the same thing with Jay. We ended up being Lee Priest and Jay Cutler.
I know.
And by the time I had seen Lee and then Jay Cutler, I was 24. This is 92, 93. I said, no, I'm going back to school. It's time for me to go back to school. And that's one of the reasons why I had consciously made a decision to not pursue bodybuilding as a profession, but as a hobby, because I just didn't feel, right or wrong, that I was going to be as great as one of them physically. And so I made a conscious decision to put my effort into my career and my finance and all that. I'm perfectly happy I did. It was a decision.
You're extremely successful.
But to your, thank you. I mean, I've done okay, and it's taken me a long time to build both. But I think I try to balance as much as I can. But I would agree with you that, there's times in my life. I mean, I retired for 17 years and just focused on my career.
I say that because
you can't do both.
I say that because when I was considered a top 15 guy in the world, top 20, from 2013 to 2016, for that time frame, nothing mattered but bodybuilding. And
Everything else suffers.
because you have to be able to go to spots where you're emotionless. Like you don't have the emotion. Like even you, as family oriented as you are, when you're in your
The whole house suffers, brother.
exactly,
The whole house suffers.
that's what I mean. Like there can be no balance, and what happens if it screwed me up was getting time with my family when I got sick in 2016. 2017, I come back. I'm like, this is the first time, and since 2012 that I didn't have appearances lined up. So I was like, I'm just gonna get a little bigger, eat a little bit, hang out with the family. I hung out with the family. Thank God I had us in end of 2017 because that kept me refocused. But that injury in 2018, yeah, I haven't been back on because I'm trying to rebuild it and all that kind of stuff. But I don't have the laser like focus. You know, I was getting ready for Australia and I was locked in. But it still wasn't the level of locked in I used to be. You know, like my daughter had a birthday.
But you're also realizing that that's okay.
My point in saying that is this: like, the goal was always to win 4 shows, right? Wherever that took me, it was to win 4 shows in Arnold. I came very close with the Arnold, so close. Touch it. But the reason why I haven't been back to that level, I mean, the pec tear is one thing, but if I had the mentality I had in 2015, 2016, 2017, I would have been back already. You know, the problem is my daughter has a birthday,
Right.
and I scheduled a birthday first before I scheduled what time I'm training legs. That wouldn't have happened back then. You know, I sacrificed a cardio session in the morning to run my kid to school and then come back and do the cardio, taking me longer to get my first meal in. Little stuff, the little details that would have even never been a thought.
Yeah.
You know, I remember my wife asked me, and this is how selfish it is. Wife said, I want to start horseback riding. I said, you ain't doing that. 2 weeks out from the Olympia. What are you thinking? She's like, now I think about that, and I'm like, what an asshole. But in that moment, I looked at her and said,
You're absolutely consumed.
I'm like, what are you thinking? We're going to go to the Olympia. Why would you want to go and do horseback riding, anything that's going to detract and create more work for me? Right? Because it's so selfish.
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
And then you get in the mindset because you're traveling with all these guys on tour. Like, that's what I miss most about being up there. It's like I'm on tour with these guys. Like,
right.
You know, me and John Del Roche were talking the other day, and he's like, man, we miss you up here, you know, like that positive attitude, that positive energy. And it's like, I miss hanging out with all the guys, you know, but I don't know if I'm missing enough to sacrifice what I have in my family now. You know what I'm saying? That's my dilemma right now.
One of the reasons why I came back after 17 years is because my daughter's married. Oh, and by the way, pregnant now. So I'm gonna be
congratulations.
I'm going to be a grandfather.
Congratulations, officially.
Congratulations. That's beautiful.
She's married and on base in Louisiana, so I don't have, you know, I'm an empty nester now. I'm old, so I can focus.
You get to walk around naked all over your house.
Yeah, well,
It's awesome.
unless my wife's there. She'd make sure I'm not naked. Because she laughs up, you know,
So
the laughter
shit,
is too much to handle. That's the problem.
So I got a problem. I got an itch on my shoulder and I can't get it.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing. Thick problems. They don't know nothing about that. You gotta lean in, you gotta get the wall. Lean in and go.
Yeah, push against.
Yeah, well,
You gotta push against the elbow, against the left.
There you go, there you go.
That's what I do.
Leverage.
No, that's really insightful. It's true, and you know, but I also think that for me, when I was like that, and I was into everything good and bad, and now what I mean by that is, back when there was Get Big and all that stuff, I was really engrossed in all the negativity, and so what happens is you're bodybuilding for the wrong reasons, and that's another thing people always ask, well, how'd you last 40 years? I'm doing this for me at this point. I don't need to tell you or you that I'm good. I know I'm good, you know, and even if I'm not, I'm happy in who I am, in my own skin. You know, I have a great career. I've been very blessed to have to make money and not have to worry, you know, about that. And so it's different for me now than it was 17 years ago or even longer than that. You know, it was always about I'm better than you. You know, I'm just doing me, man. You know, I'm just trying to have fun and just do it for myself.
Well, that's funny because we were talking before then. When he was going to turn pro, he had so much, all these people on his bandwagon. Go.
That's pretty bitch.
And then
They disappear pretty quick.
And then you turn pro and you accomplish it, and all of a sudden wants to tear you down. You're not. It's just like
Try
crazy. It's
retiring.
like,
Try retiring and see the crickets.
Nuts, man. It's like
See the crickets then.
good.
I won't name anyone.
No.
But I do hold like the pleasure. I remember everything that people say to me. You know, I had someone tell me that I turned pro in the Masters. All right, fine. Also didn't take any drugs when I turned pro. I got drug tested. Pro.
Yeah.
Turned pro with no drugs.
Right.
And you know, these are the same people that I watched them postpone their pro debut, postpone their pro debut.
I'm glad, man. I understand. Good.
And then, you know, you show up, you know, I was a totally different person. You know, I 7 months later, I went out there. And I'm not saying that I'm better than anyone, but I know that I'm not younger than these guys. So I had the first opportunity to go to the biggest absolute place that they would let me into without a permission slip. We went to the New York Pro, and I got 15th.
You did great. And you're going to get to a point, both of you, where I am, which is, if somebody has something critical to say about me, you know what I tell them? Let's see what you look like when you're 52.
You know,
And then you can criticize how I look or don't look, or
100%.
but I really don't care. Like,
I get
there's an
so
old saying,
obsessed with
it's
you
none
can
of
build
you-
a big building,
it's none
Jack,
of
without
you-
pissing on anyone
it's
else's.
none of your business what other people think of you.
For
You know,
sure. It doesn't feed me.
And I mean, I had people say it to me when I first got back into it. Oh, you're better than Freddie. Could you beat Freddie? Are you better than Freddie? Like, Freddie's a pro. He's an accomplished pro.
Yeah, the dividers.
He's a great bodybuilder, and I'm better than him. So what? It's okay. I'm kidding. I didn't say that. It's
the
a
beautiful thing
ridiculous
about it-
comparison to me because you've accomplished more than me, and
For me,
you know, I've been, you know.
I've stayed. You know, like for me, I used to get upset with stuff like that.
Right.
But reality of the situation is when people can talk shit on Phil Heath, who's one of the,
Right.
one of the
Man,
best
they're gonna
bodybuilders
dump it on
we've
my
ever
little
seen,
ass.
then who am I to get upset?
Yeah, for sure.
I
man,
learned
for
a
sure.
really cool phrase lately, and that was this: no one who's doing better than you is ever going to criticize you.
That is
It's
that is
awesome,
so
man.
true.
You know, and I
That is so
realized, I
true.
thought to myself, yeah, that's really true.
That is so true.
That is really true.
And this is what I tell people all the time. I got so much going on. I don't have time to worry about what
I
anybody
don't
else
even hear
doing.
you up here, bro.
I don't even hear you.
because-
I don't have time to worry about what you think about me, let alone worry about what I think about you. So
For sure.
you know,
And I'm happy for other people now.
Me too.
I don't compare
Yeah, I
myself
love
to you or
lifting.
you.
I love the energy. I love walking
I
in.
want to see you, both of you, do amazing. You know why? Because I'm already doing amazing.
For sure. I think that's
buy
why you
cars
attract to
and
those type
watches,
of
and
people.
now I do what I want, and I live the life
Oh
I
yeah,
want. And
yeah. Listen, look at him
I
on
don't-
Instagram.
I don't care, you know.
Listen, one should only hope to be doing what he's doing. Uncle Jack's winning.
The point, you did a video which was
Yeah.
so funny in my
Winning,
car,
yeah.
on one of my cars, and you were
He's
like,
it looks like he's in the league. I'm not sure which one of it's the NBA, the NFL, but it ain't the IFBB.
Right.
He's in the big
So-
league.
but yeah, I'm happy. You know, we've had talks about me supporting your company, and I don't want nothing. I don't need nothing. I want to see you do well. I'm doing fine for myself.
That's good.
I want to see everybody else do well too. There's enough for everybody. And
Yeah, and that good energy.
There's a
man,
whole
goes
hell of
well, I
a
didn't
lot
always
out
have
there.
that though, and I think you remember this. I was different when I was younger. I was all about, I'm better than you.
Oh my God, you would do anything. I mean, you
Anything.
were so peeled when we went to that show and they screwed you out of good placing. But you were so peeled.
Well,
I was like,
that's another story that I don't want to talk about. But you know, one of the things I've learned is sometimes you need to keep your mouth shut, even if you're right. You win the fight, you lose the battle, kind of thing.
mm-hmm.
You know,
I've
I'm
been
trying to come back.
Super lucky.
I'm trying to come back in a quiet way and just do my thing.
Yeah.
You know, and peace to everybody else.
I feel you.
I never showed up and wasn't the best guy and didn't win. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
Right? As far as politics go, I can clearly tell you that I've never showed up as the best guy and didn't win.
Yeah, I've gotten my ass handed to me a couple times, but you know what? That's part of.
Yeah.
I mean, it's our sport, man. I mean, I've
For
had
sure,
judges
man.
come up to me and go, you know, obviously you didn't deserve to be that low. I've had people come in and go, well, you know, gotta get a better sponsor, Freddie. So these things do happen, but at the same time, if you come in shape and you look the way you want to look on that day, like, had I gotten last call out to Arnold in 2018 and felt that was my best look, I'd have walked away.
What do you know, right?
Yeah, that's what keeps me going. Because I
Right.
know there's more in
But
it.
if you don't get it,
For sure.
But if you didn't get it, like, you know, I walked away from that show so dissatisfied. Like, we did New York Pro and we didn't peak the right way. Then we go 3 weeks and we present a package that you had never seen before.
True.
Right? So now you can walk away from that show, even though we didn't win it, we got 5th. Even though you didn't win it, you can walk from that show and go, damn, I can't wait to.
At least it was my best
This
me,
is
yeah.
the best I've ever looked.
Yep.
You know, and that's all you're trying to do in the sport. It's like every single time you get on stage, be the best you
That's
ever
the only
been.
reason why I'm competing this year, because I want to just show my package.
Right, right. So,
I don't.
To let her know.
That's all. Right. That's all I want to do is, you know, and have fun and just, you know, I already have my respect, so I don't feel like there's some things that I wish I would have done differently in the past, as it relates to the NPC and what went on there. But hey, listen, I was young. It's 20 years ago.
yeah, I mean, mistakes are what make us, right? So, you know, learning from, growing from, moving on, getting better as we grow and come along the way. And in that, you know, like, so tell me, so you got a cool flex wheeler story, right?
All the flex wheeler stories are super cool. But yes, we have quite a few. We definitely do.
Yeah, give us one.
Well, what did we do? We met him, right? And then, of course, you know, I meet him, but really he meets my son, which I found out the next day because he was calling me, asking me about my son the first time we met in New York. And then pretty much any time after that, anytime I've seen him, you know, I don't care if the line's 2.5 hours, he puts the brakes down, man. And he's, how's Nicholas? How's the boys? How's everything going?
He's a good dude.
Yeah, that's the stuff he cares about. It's pretty cool, man. You know, and that's one thing that I was very lucky to have Big Bro here, like, take me to these places that are just incredible. Like, you know, we were out in Vegas for the Olympia, and I'm just with the guys, the legends
Yeah, I
of
used
the
to hang out
game,
with
you know.
him and Chris Cormier.
But what you know, those guys, most of them,
Well, I lived in a house.
they're super friendly. You just don't have access to them unless you're a pro.
Well, back
You
in
know
the
what I mean?
'90s, you know, I was lucky enough to be in Venice Beach, and I lived with Flex.
Yeah, that's what you're talking
I got a
about.
funny story about Flex. One day I hear a scuffle outside. We're living in it used to be Ed Connor's house on Wavecrest Boulevard in Venice Beach, and I come out and Flex is on top of a guy. He's got his knees on this guy's shoulders, and he's got a Desert Eagle in his hand, and he pistol whips the guy. Right? I come out like this. I'll be right back. Cops come, draw down on Flex. Flex is like, anyway, this guy was trying to rob our house, and Flex fucked him up.
I believe he's in
Flex-
ninja.
Yeah, he's a pretty tough dude.
He's a bad
He's a
dude.
pretty tough dude. So, but I just remember walking out going, looks like you got that under control. I was like, what is going on? But yeah, he's a very good dude. Him and Chris Cormier and Rico, probably don't know who Rico McLean is, but the three of them used to train together. In fact, I went back to Venice, I don't know, was it 3 or 4 years ago. I saw Rico in the gym. And Danny Hester, you know who Danny Hester and I are old friends. And well, I could go on and on, but
Well, you know, like they had this story one time. You saw your man. He was like, "You're like, what are you talking about? You can beat that guy."
So when I came out, and I'll explain to you later, but I was living in Ed Connor's house.
Yeah.
Ed Connors was one of the 3 owners of Gold's Gym, Tim Kimber and Pete Gronkowski at the time. So he comes over and he says he had a bunch of houses. So he wasn't living in the same house. He was living in one on the beach. I was living in one on Wavecrest. It was next door to the original Gold's Gym. So he says, Hakim Albrecht's coming down from San Jose. He's going to train for the Arnold, and you're going to train with him. Okay. And I don't know if you remember who Hakim Albrecht was, but at the time he was one of the first Weider super athletes.
Super veiny.
He was 285 pounds.
Yeah,
he was
huge
one of the mass
shoulders.
monsters.
Arms were a little weak.
They had Mega Mass 1000, which was a Weider product. Well, he was the Mega
Oh,
Mass.
I remember that. Yeah.
So Akim was a
My
German.
brother's 6
They called him the
years old.
German giant, and he spoke with a real heavy German accent. And so we're training, and he was tough. He was, Ed used to tease him and say, Akim is going to be here, and I must train. We always made fun of him. So anyway, we're training one day, and he liked training with me because he would burn people out because he trained so heavy. And because I was a powerlifter in my day, I could hold my own with him. And so we're training one day, and he was getting ready for the Arnold Classic. It was the first year that Flex won, I think '92. He won all the shows up here, every show, and I was at every show. So anyway, in Gold's Gym, there's 2 posing rooms in Venice Beach. So Akam and I are training, and Akam disappears. Where's he at? He comes out, and he says, Jack. Now he's like, 6 something. I'm like, what? He's like, Jack, I cannot win this show. I'm like, what? He's like, I'm not going to win this. And he's saying in the journal, I cannot win, I cannot win. I'm like, what are you talking about? You're Akim Albrecht. Like, he was like my hero. I was like, I used to drive him around and shit, I was like, I loved him. I had, a huge crush on him. So anyway, he's like, I cannot beat him.
You definitely got to be a confident man to say it that way.
Yeah. So I did. It was like he was like larger than life to me. He says, go in the posing room. I said, okay. So I go in the posing room. Flex is in there, Sean Ray's in there, and Chris Grenier, and they're all at their peaks too, by the way. Some of the best guys. And Flex is standing there. And I go in there, and I'm like nobody, and I'm like, and they knew me from hanging around. We were just all buddies back then. It was different. We were all friends. Come on in, Jack. Check this out. He used to call me Blue Boy because I would get, my skin would get so thin. I get those purple patches, and they would tease me, So come on in, Blue Boy. Sit down. So I'm like, I sit down, and Flex standing there, and he went, and he chink, and his legs went, and I was like, holy shit, wait, I go, holy shit. And then he took a breath and went, chink, and it was like fucking Transformers. His legs kept going, chink, and his back kept going, chink, and it was like he had 3 sets of lats that came out. And all of a sudden it looked like his waist was this big and his shoulders were this wide. And I was like, I had never seen anything. I was like, what the fuck? I go outside. I go back outside. I go, you're right, Akam. You ain't never beaten that motherfucker.
Never.
No way.
Never.
He was 218. He looked like he was 318.
Yes.
I'm going to tell you right now, and I'm a big Dorian fan. Flex Wheeler, without any hesitation, was the greatest bodybuilder to ever walk this planet.
Yeah, that's what I think.
I know.
Love the way
I saw him this close, and he was.
I love Flex, man.
They don't do it to Ronnie, right?
But
Nah, he is weight. Ronnie's awesome. Don't get me wrong, and huge. And I like big bodybuilders.
Yeah.
I don't really generally like the aesthetic, pretty bodybuilders like Flex. But if you had ever seen this guy, his dimensions were. It didn't look real. It looked like he was a transformer. I mean,
Believe it.
and because his joints were so small, it made him look that much bigger. So he would stand next to Dorian, and he looked as big as Dorian. It was like, how is he doing that at 218 and Dorian's 265?
I remember I was 16 or 17, and my parents were like, you haven't cleaned that room in forever. And I was like, and I knew Flex Wheeler was going to be in Roanoke, Virginia, and that was a 6-hour drive. And back then, you'd have Instagram, internet, just pull it up. It was like you need to see him in person. You had to go. And I'm like, man, I want to go to this show. And my dad's like, you ain't going to that show. You haven't cleaned your room. I stayed up all night long. All night long. I haven't been cleaning probably a year. All night long, cleaned my room. And he had to inspect it. And he was like, all right, you can go. I ain't sleep or nothing. Jumped in the car. Me and my girl went down there. Stood in line, I think, for at least an hour and a half just to get that picture of Flex Wheeler. Yeah, And I have that picture there, but to see him pose on stage, man, it was so surreal, And he was only 230 something pounds at its biggest, And the thing is, it looked so much bigger.
He was so round.
He was so round, so full. It was so pretty, man. It's like Phil Heath with better shape, Like it was just crazy, man. Crazy.
Well, the 90s, I was lucky enough to train and live in Venice in the 90s, and I got to see, and I got to know.
I'm lucky enough to be younger than both of you, too.
Yeah, right. I got to know Matarazzo and DeMeo and Barry DeMay, and I trained with Gary Strydom. Gary and I still talk. I talked to Jay Cutler 2 days ago, to his birthday, and he even texted me. I'll show you the text. It says, "Dude, it just isn't like it used to be."
Mm-hmm.
I have it on my text.
Well, I mean, I always have a problem with that statement. I'm going to tell you why.
No, he meant the camaraderie and
That's the truth.
That's what he meant.
Well, that's because, people that got into it at that time, there's something to be said about taking a longer road to get there, right? So, for instance, guy gets into it today, he has a killer shape. That same guy that had the killer shape, we would have said, you need to do bodybuilding. And no matter how killer his shape was, it would took him 4, 5, 6 years to turn pro.
Correct.
You meet and connect with a whole lot of people on that road before you start feeling like you're the shit. You know, up until that point, you're eating a lot of humble pie, right? Because you think you're great at the Delaware, then you go to the Bev, and then you get crushed, and then you go back into the drawing board. You go to the Bevs, you win that. Yeah, I won you overall at the Bevs. Now I'm going to go to the juniors, and then you get beat at the juniors, and you go back home. You do it for another year. You win the juniors. Now they say you're ready for nationals. You go to nationals, and you're like, damn, I didn't even get a chance to hit a pose. I just did about 4 current turns, and they kicked me off, right? And then you come back, and now you're in the top 5, and you spend a year or 2 fighting in that top 5. So by the time you're a pro, you're so damn good and seasoned and mature, but you've made so many relationships along the way because you played the game, and now everybody knows you. And it's not you putting yourself on Instagram saying, hey, I'm great. It's the magazines edifying you and the supplement sponsors edifying you, so people get to see that story. So now you're larger than life. And now what the difference is, guys come into men's physique, they've trained for a year or 2, and now are a pro men's physique guy. And so you don't see as many people going to bodybuilding because that same great guy is like, I can be a pro men's physique in 2 years. So I think that's where it gets lost, like that whole, it was a bond, like we're backstage, me and Branch at my second Olympia, we're backstage, we're shooting the shit, he's like, all these guys, they're doing all these crazy peptides, they're doing this, they're doing that. He's like, what happened is this hardcore fucking training because everybody's trying to sell their program on the gram. Everybody's trying to do the next best thing.
Yeah, I don't think the bodybuilders are as good today as they were then from a conditioning. I think they were more conditioned back then. You take a guy like Paul Gillette, talk about a guy you've never seen in person that was awesome. Bigger than Dorian, and he was bigger than any of them. He was talking about he was flex wheeler, but the size of Dorian. He had a little waist here. Huh?
He wasn't that good a shape. I mean, his shape wasn't that pretty.
Oh,
Maybe
no.
a Chris Cormier the size of Dorian. I give him that.
Okay, I'll go. But he was just a freak. I mean, he had 23-inch arms.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he was just, and he barely trained. He walked around.
Yeah, how do you get that big? Doing like
genetics. He's just genetically gifted, and he just responded quickly. Good dude. He was a nice guy too. I mean, if you took him out in the '90s and put him in an Olympia today, he would smoke everybody. Everybody.
Okay, we ain't going there. He would not be. He would not.
That's what the old guys do, bro.
He would not be Sean Roden, and he certainly
smoke Sean.
No, he would not. No, he wouldn't.
I was there the year he won.
No, he wouldn't. The reason why is Sean Roden, outside of the sweeping the arms, Sean Roden looks a whole lot like Flex.
He has legs like his.
So I like Sean Roden. I think he's a great bodybuilder, but he is no flex wheeler.
I didn't say he was flex wheeler.
You didn't bring Flex up though. You brought the other guy up.
No flex wheeler.
He ain't.
Flex could definitely come hang.
Flex would definitely be there. I'm not saying Paul Gillette wouldn't be a top 6 guy. What I'm saying is he ain't smoking everybody. Like Lee Priest was great, but he ain't beating what's my man's name?
Flex Lewis.
So he ain't beating Flex Lewis.
He's smoking.
He is not beating Flex Lewis, bro. I'm telling you.
Flex Lewis. Flex Lewis is good.
At his highest, he was 198 pounds when he was in shape.
But I think Flex Lewis is probably the best bodybuilder around right now.
No, he's not.
That's my opinion.
He's super consistent. I mean, he really gives off.
Very consistent.
He is
we'll
a
see when he gets
dude,
into the
man.
open.
Yeah, it is. It's crazy.
When he gets to the open this year, we'll see.
Those guys are just. So
I love Flex. Me and Flex
big,
go like this, man. Like
Yeah,
I call
he's
Flex up
such a
today.
stud,
Flex is
dude.
gonna be on my. So I love Flex. I love Phil. I love them all. We cool with all of them.
Well, this isn't about their personalities. I'm sure they're all cool, but I thought
it's about
Flex,
who's giving it all in that gym.
Well, I know he's giving it all.
I mean, I could have told you my opinions on bodybuilders back in the '90s, but I was friends with all of them.
Yeah.
I told you.
My feeling on the '90s is this: the top 8 to 9 guys were absolutely some of the best bodybuilders we've ever seen. But outside of that, I think everything else gets intermixed, and I think.
So you're saying the lineup's a little deeper? You think? First and 15th or closer? Is that what you're saying?
Or?
Yeah. Just the difference between the guy that was 1st and 15th, that the drop off is
I've
steeper.
seen some of you see some of the. Mind you, you only see what they want you to see.
So The only rebuttal, I'm not going to disagree with you.
No, rebut it. Good.
But I will say is this. Unless you've seen Dorian Yates in person, you have no idea how fucking huge he was.
For sure.
Right. I did see him in person, but here's my point. This is my point.
Like you
he was
picture.
legendary. He was amazing. He's like one of the. He's
talking about the guys
one
that weren't
of the top 3 people that's ever done this sport.
No, I hear you. There's a lot that weren't.
Right. So what I'm saying is, right now, like, whether you take back then, if you took 15th at the Olympia, nobody saw your ass. No one saw you. No one. They put in the magazine the pictures they wanted in the magazines, and that's it. Now,
you got
25, right?
Choice.
Exactly. And they catch you from all crazy angles and everything. And I mean, poor guy Green looked like he was damn pregnant in one of the shows that they caught him in. I looked like I was pregnant when I took second at the Arnold Australia. Arnold Asia. I'm like, that's the picture you put up? You know, like I had one of the smallest waists on stage. You put that picture up.
That was their narrative, you know. They wanted to be all about that. Catch this one out of shape. You guys are getting too big. You're getting too big.
The slant and the GH.
The difference is this, though. It wasn't a major magazine that put that up. It was like one of the bodybuilding freelancers that has 500,000 followers that put that up. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't Flex magazine. It wasn't Muscle Development, who would have been the only people doing it back in the day. Iron Man, Muscle Mag International. It was some freelance guy on Instagram. I'm gonna start me a page, and I'm gonna take shots. You know?
Yeah, for sure.
So I mean, it's just you saw them. You saw everybody in their best light, because that's how they sold the magazines.
Yeah, then more respect for the
But
game.
what I'm telling you
know?
is, I saw them in person, not in the best light. I saw them.
I
trained with these guys every day for years, and look, it's an argument to go either way.
And also,
you don't know until you stand them next to each other at the end.
I'll tell you this
don't
too.
Really know.
The kids are touching their pictures up, and they didn't, on them Polaroids that you guys were using, they didn't have the same amount of, what are they called? Pixels. Your pixels. You didn't have the pixels these kids got.
With the meaning of the pro card has been diluted significantly.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, anytime you're putting out.
Not in bodybuilding. I don't care what anyone says. I don't wear bathing suits to compete.
No, I mean it is. Because
it.
whether or not you do well as a pro is irrelevant to how you got there. Like for instance, you still would have got there. That's not a question. You still would have got there, because even if we took that current
What if
state,
I did? You mean if I did like men's physique and then classic?
No, what I'm saying is like we
like build it into it, or what do you mean?
When you went to so take the same.
You mean if I would have lost and came back again? If I wouldn't have won that.
If they weren't given pro cards, at the Masters, Team U, right? Which
I could have won as a in the Open.
You would have won in the Open. But my point is, even if, let's say, we didn't do that route and we went the other route, and you took 1 year, even the package you put on stage your first year as a pro
would have smoked all those guys.
Would have smoked the amateurs, right? So my point is, you still would have got there.
For sure.
But the problem is, what Jack's saying is, too many people are getting pro cards.
Well, because they're having the multiple national shows. I mean, it pays, bro.
Boom.
It pays.
That's what it's about, the money. Absolutely.
It's an organization.
I always wanted to be Mr. America. And the reason why I always wanted to be Mr. America or Mr. Universe was because, in my mind, right or wrong, you'll laugh at this rationale, but when I was younger, you could be an IFBB pro, and I could be Mr. Universe from the NABA, which, being an IFBB pro, we all know is much more difficult, much more prestigious. So the two of us go to a nightclub and tell a girl, you're an IFBB pro, and I go, I'm Mr. Universe. Which one do you think they recognize?
Yeah.
And if you're in that mindset, which I was, which is it's not a good mindset to be in, which is I'm doing this to impress people, then you're doing it for the wrong reasons. And that's right now, today, people keep saying to me, go back and get it, and I might. I don't know yet. I mean, I don't know how that's going to play out for me, but if I don't get it, I'll be okay. Doesn't make me less of a...
Well, that's because bodybuilding doesn't define you. Like, you're a bodybuilder,
Correct.
but that's not all you are,
Right. But it shouldn't define anybody.
I won Mr. America in 2006, the same.
Right.
I didn't know what I was getting into.
I won the North America.
I didn't even pick my head up to really think about it like that. I didn't know any of the guys' names.
See, like, if I was you, I'd be telling you I was Mr. America.
I was just an athlete, man. That's all I was. I'm telling you, I didn't know anyone that I wasn't introduced to. He's like, you know who that is? I'm like, Fred, I know who you are. Right? He's like, you're out of control.
Bro,
He's like, yo, you blow my head up so big. I'm like, you're my favorite bodybuilder. You're the only one I know. You're my man. I ain't worried about them.
Listen, my
They don't
man
train me.
has no clue who people are, and he's guest posing next to Victor Martinez
Oh, jeez.
in New York.
Guest
Like,
posing, which is, we'll say it. That's right. It was a guest posing
was
appearance.
guest
He
posing.
asked me, didn't he?
He did.
And I did it.
He said, Fred, you guest posing? And I said, no, but he is.
And that's how it went
Yeah,
down.
that's
how
how
it
it
went
went
down,
down. He said,
yeah.
yeah. And
Why not? I guess posed at the Venice Beach Championships. The year I was getting ready for the USA's. The year Chris Premier won.
Yeah, you're big, man. Whew.
And I was walking down the beach, Venice Boardwalk, and the promoter and I were friends, and he goes, Jack, he goes, you're in shape. Come here. Get up there. We're going to have you guest pose.
There you go.
Okay.
There you go.
I think that's the only place I haven't been, man.
You never been to Venice
I've
Beach?
never been to California,
Oh,
Venice
it's
Beach.
banging.
You got to go to Venice Beach. Man.
You gotta check that
I've
out.
trained there quite. I've even trained Charles Glass. You know, it's a good gym. It's just
Charles
kind
is a
of
good guy.
yeah. It's good. It's motivating. It's definitely motivating.
It's not like it used to be, but it's...
Of course not.
Oh, they
because
got
there's-
weights. I'm good, cuz.
Well, you know, like back then,
That's
again,
it.
like if you were, everyone thought you had to go there because
Yeah.
Leader headquarters was there. So
Leader and also Ed Connors was a big... people don't realize how influential Ed Connors was on bodybuilding. He
I
was
love watching
responsible,
his stuff
and
too,
wrestling,
man.
and like John Cena, Ed's responsible for him.
wow.
Lex Luger, he was responsible for him. You know, I can name Barry DeMay, Gary Stridham, Jay Cutler, Lee Priest, me. Not that I get, you know, not that I'm in that same class, but there's goes on and on and on. He literally was the guy. I mean, he was the guy that if you wanted a shot, and he would help people like he helped me. You know, we could talk about that, but you know, that's Weeder was obviously a big piece of it, but I think Ed actually influenced bodybuilding as much. I really do, because he and also Gold's Gym. Like they were, the guy on Instagram or on LinkedIn was celebrating 55 years of Gold's Gym today, the CEO, and I almost said you had nothing to do with it. I didn't. I wanted to, because they didn't mention Ed, they didn't mention Tim Kimber, they didn't mention Pete Grimkowski, and those are the guys who made Gold's Gym global. Those are the guys that went around the world. Ed traveled the world looking for bodybuilders, for signing people up for membership, for franchises. It was them that did it. It wasn't Adam Zieft or whatever his name is now.
Yeah.
And not to take away from him, I'm sure he's a great guy, I'm sure he's a great CEO, I'm sure he's doing a wonderful job. But he really should have taken the time to honor the people who built that organization and built bodybuilding. In my opinion, Ed Connors is one of the godfathers of bodybuilding. He changed my life.
Yeah.
You know, he changed my life. I was a police officer. It's a good story if you want to hear this one. I was a police officer in Warminster, and I won like the Mr. Pennsylvania, and then my chief sent me to what's called the World Police and Fire Games. This is 1989. I'm sorry, this is 1990. 91. And I won, and I met Jim Manning there and Gary Uda. And Gary Uda's like, dude, you need to get into the NPC, and you need to start, because I didn't know. I was competing in the AAU. You don't even know what the AAU is. That's how.
That was my first show.
Right, that was like tell me
It was
what
the former. It was the predecessor to NAVA, and NAVA was
yeah,
Europe.
I know that.
So anyway, I tell her what I'm going to Venice Beach. I'm going to get sponsored, and I'm never going to come home. Everybody's of course laughing at me. And first day I get there, and I walk in, and I literally walk in the front door, and there's a jungle gym with a lap pull down, and this guy's doing lap pull downs. He turns around, he looks at me. I'm in the gym 3 minutes. Turns around, looks at me, and goes, "Who the hell are you? You need to come over here and train with me. I never seen a guy as big as you." It was Samir Banu.
Well, no shit.
No shit.
Yeah.
And Samir and I became friends. Still to this
The
day.
Lion, right?
Line 11.
Yeah.
So I'm doing lap pull downs, me and my friend Joe, and Samir Banu, 1983 Mr. Olympia, who was like my hero as well. The guy, one of the guys that got me, I saw, he was the first guy with Christmas tree.
Right.
So we're doing lap pull downs, and there's all this commotion in the back of the gym. If you ever get to go to Gold's Gym, Venice Beach, it's huge.
Yeah.
Two people can train in that gym for years and never see each other. So they used to have aerobics rooms in the back, and there was, I guess the aerobics instructor had broken her knee. So there's a lot of people in street clothes going back and forth. And there was this one guy with salt and pepper hair who kept walking back and forth looking at me. and looking at me, and walking around the room looking at me. And I'm like, who's this guy looking at me? And I'm like, oh, it's California, right? So he finally comes over and he says, who are you? Where are you from? And I'm like, what do you mean where am I from? How do you know I'm not from here? He's like, well, we all kind of know each other, and it's January, you're tan, you're obviously here for a reason. What's the deal? And I'm like, well, who are you? Like, so he's beating around the bush, won't tell me who he is, and he could tell I'm getting irritated. I'm about to, punch him in the throat. And so finally he's like, okay. He's like, look, I'm a bodybuilding talent scout. I said to him first, I'm sorry, let me back up. I said, well, my name's Jack London. I'm a cop from Philly, and I want to be Mr. America. I came out here to see what was going on. He says, well, I'm a bodybuilding talent scout, sort of, and maybe I can help you. And I'm like, now I know he's hitting on me, right? So, I'm like, okay, so who are you? I'm trying to he said, look, he could tell I was getting annoyed with him. He said, look, when you're done, if you want to talk to me, you come to my office and we'll talk and see if I can do anything to help you. I'm like, well, where's your office? He says, well, if you go out the door, you go up the steps, the second floor. I said, well, are you affiliated with this? Like, I'm trying to figure out who this guy is. He won't tell me. He's being really shady. And it's just, I said, are you part of this gym? He goes like this, he goes, I own the gym. I said, you own this gym? He says, no, I own Gold's Gym Enterprises. It was at Connors. And I was like, let's go talk.
Good shit.
So we go up to his office. I'm 22 at the time. I don't know nothing from nothing, right? And my buddy's there, and he sits behind a desk. He had the whole credenza behind, the whole setup. He's all right, take all your clothes off. I look at Joe, and I'm like, all right, this is either going to end up really good or really fucking bad. I'm here. So I take all the bodybuilding. I strip down to my underwear, and he starts putting me through mandatories, and he's taking very copious notes at the time. And, okay, put your clothes back on. He goes, oh, by the way, how tall are you? I said, I'm 5'9". I look taller than I am. I'm only 5'9". He says, okay, and what's your shoe size? And I said, I'm a 12. He goes, you're a 12. And I'm like, what? He's making all these notes, and I see like algebra. He's like, he says, all right, put your clothes back on. He goes, listen, it's just not only do I think you could be a bodybuilder, you could be a great bodybuilder. And here's what I'm willing to do for you. He writes down place to live, twice as much money as I was making as a cop, take home.
Wow.
And, and he slides the thing across to me, and I'm like, okay, I'm in. And he's like, no, you can't, you got to think about it. And I said, well, what's the catch? He said, well, there is some things you got to do. I said, okay. Starting like what? He says, well, I'm going to be setting up photo shoots for you and sending you to other Gold's Gyms for appearances to get your name out there and market you. You're going to always have to wear a Gold's Gym shirt when you're training or where you're getting photographed. You can't wear Powerhouse, you can't wear World. You got to wear Gold's Gym. I'm like, okay, I can do that. What else? He goes, that's it. And I'm like, okay, where do I sign? He's like, no, I want you to go back to your, I stayed at the Marina Pacific Hotel, Joe Bucci owned it. And Joe went back, and I'm calling everybody going, I can't believe this happened, like, it's actually happening. And I call my mom, and my mom's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm not coming home. She's like, what do you mean you're not coming home? You just graduated, well, it was a couple of years, but you wanted to be a cop so bad. You graduated, I was president of the class, and you know how I'm an overachiever. And then I said, Mom, first of all, you and Dad hate the fact that I'm a cop.
Right.
Right? You fought the whole thing. I said, what's the worst that can happen? I said, I'm 20-something years old. If it doesn't work, I can always go back to being a cop.
That's a great attitude.
And she's like, yeah, you're right. I'll UPS your stuff. And I never went home.
Wow.
I stayed 4 or 5 years, whatever it was. I stayed for a long time. And I stayed at Wavecrest, and then Ed sold that house to Flex, and there was an apartment below. And I moved into the apartment, which was attached to it. So that's how I knew Flex so well, because I lived in his house. It was Ed's house. And that's how I got to Venice Beach. Oh, and by the way, I said to him later, why'd you ask me my shoe size?
Right.
He says, well, a guy who's 5'9", his shoe size should be about an 8, 8.5. The fact that you have a 12 says that your body structure, your bone structure can hold muscle. Yeah.
Can't figure.
So
I knew that.
And because of him, I got to meet.
I'm gonna start saying that.
I was gonna say I got big ass feet, so I'll be all right.
Yeah,
Right.
well, no, you can grow.
Yeah, it's true. It's really true.
Yeah, definitely. So, here's one thing I wanted to talk to both of you about. Like, how did COVID affect you in terms of your body being being focused and all that kind of stuff? How did it affect you?
Well, I was scared at first. I was the run and hide and follow the rules, do the quarantine. Let's soften the curve. They got me. I will say they got me. So I at that point, since I was allowed to work, I took a page out of your book and I totally dove into that. I went more into like a maintenance phase and trained about 3 to 5 days a week if I could. Gathered some weights. I did like the whole get on the Facebook and see what you can find. But it definitely shut me down as far as bodybuilding. But I don't think it beat me mentally because I never had a break. And I was already going into the season kind of like a little bitch in the back of my mind thinking, am I going to be fucking big enough again? Am I going to be big enough? So now I know that I have more than enough time. So it was like a blessing in disguise, man. It didn't financially hit me. So I didn't have the woe is me like some people have, man. We're watching the other gym owners that are totally shut down. So from that standpoint, I have feelings for other small business, but I was lucky enough to fly below the radar, man, and really, be deemed essential, which I think is so weird. It's a whole nother.
Can't have your grass looking bad.
I think anyone that provides a living is essential.
Yeah.
But that's a whole different debate. The initial shutdown, I think, was pretty good. I think it went from medical to political pretty fast, though, and that's scary.
I brought that up because I've seen you train and stay focused on the diet and stay locked in the entire time. And for me, I stayed locked in until I got COVID, and then I said, all right, well, I've been training perfectly and serious for a year because I was supposed to do Australia and I was supposed to do St. Louis.
You were peaking.
Right, so I was already there, and then when all the shows kept getting canceled, I can't do something. I gotta take a break.
So to me, and again, whether it's business, whether it's athletics, I live my life real simple, and that is I focus on the things I can control.
Yep.
And I don't worry about the shit I can't control. So to me, it was an opportunity. It was an opportunity to work from home. I was getting paid, which you could say I was lucky, or you could say I was disciplined. But chance favors the prepared. And so I took it as an opportunity, and instead of worrying whether your gym's going to be open, I have a friend, Anthony DeAngelis, who has an incredible home basement gym. I called Anthony. I said, Anthony, can I come to your house and I'll pay if I have to. Whatever I got to do, I drive up to Plymouth Meeting every day. I train. It turned out to be the greatest thing I could have done because he pushed me harder. He started helping me and fine-tuning me and pushing me. And so I trained harder, dieted harder. I looked the best I've ever looked, in my opinion, because of it. I believe you have choices in life. You can run and hide. Not that you ran and hide.
For sure.
Suggesting
For
you
sure.
did. It has nothing to do with your response. You can either run and hide, or you can say, oh, like they say the COVID-15 or whatever. It's all, to me, bullshit. You make choices. You either do this or you don't do it. It's like Yoda says, there is no try. There is either do or not do. And so I just was like, I loved it. I just got to focus on bodybuilding and training. I had nothing distracting me. My wife was working from home. My wife and I get along like famously. We're like best friends, and partially because she makes money too. So, but no, seriously, it was an opportunity to me to really drive deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and not stop. And there was a couple times when I thought to myself, because I have 4 shows canceled.
Right, yeah, same here.
And I remember somebody coming to me saying, because I was preparing for the NABA World, right? And I do believe I could have won that show. I do. And maybe I'll win it next year. But the point is, I remember when it got canceled and somebody said, oh, I'm really sorry, Jack. Like, the show got canceled and that really sucks, all that preparation you put into that show. I said, well, first of all, I don't put anything into a show. I put the preparation into me. Right? Number 2, if a show being canceled is the worst thing I have to deal with in my life, I'm doing pretty damn good. So I don't feel like I should be complaining when I have all this stuff here, good. Okay, we got this to deal with. I'm not suggesting that it isn't a serious pandemic, and I'm not that's not what this discussion is about. The discussion is how did I react to it? Same way I would react to anything. Same way I reacted when I lost my job years ago, or got fired, or got laid off, or lost my house, or couldn't pay my bills, or I focused on the things that I could control and turned it into an opportunity. And if you don't do that, if you don't know how to do that, and you know how to do it too, you articulated it differently, but it was really
Yeah, I mean, I've had my most successful year
Same
ever
thing.
in grass, you know?
So if you don't know how to do that, you'll never be really great at anything.
Yeah, that's the weirdest thing, man. I was sitting there, those are great points you just put out there. That's the weirdest thing. Like, I'm sitting at Ruth Chris, I think last night, and we're eating dinner, and I'm asking them, like, so how are you guys surviving through this? You know, because they're a very high-end restaurant, you know? So it's just like, how are you surviving through all this? And they're like, we've done our best numbers we've done in years. And I'm like, so, you know.
That staffing, all the drive-through stuff.
Doesn't matter.
They've adapted.
They
figured it the fuck out.
They figured it out, yeah. But it also makes me think, you know, like, maybe it's not as bad as everyone makes it sound all the time, you know? So,
Touche, yeah,
you know,
right.
because, like, I think for those that don't, let me backtrack because I don't want to say that. But what I would
people
say
that
is,
haven't came out, that are being precautious, right?
yeah,
Don't
well,
realize.
I think sometimes, you know, like for instance, there's a saying that one of my friends says. He says, someone would take your situation and they'll win with it.
For sure.
You know, no matter how bad the situation is, you know. And like when I had that gym, talk about broke, I was broke, you know. I mean, I did everything I could to keep the doors open, and you know, we finally did turn the corner, but it took a long time to do it. And I think a lot of other people would have quit on it, but I was like, in my head, I was like, I can't fail, I gotta finish, you know. And that was my mindset the whole time. And with this whole COVID, I was like 1 week away from the show.
I remember.
And I'm like, literally the next day getting on the plane to go, and all these people are telling me it's canceled. And I knew, my fear was, I knew Sergio Olivier got stuck over there. He was stuck over there, but I knew he had went early. And Chris was like, Fred, you better call, what's his name, Tony Darty. He said, because you go over there now, they're not going to let you come back. And that's all I kept hearing. They're not going to let you come back. So, literally, I call him, he's like, Fred, don't tell anybody, but no, we have to cancel the show. And I'm like, fuck. So then immediately, I'm like, all right, no big deal, let's do St. Louis Pro 4 weeks later. Right, to give me more time to get a little better, you know. Me and Chris started doing a plan for St. Louis Pro. That gets canceled like 2 weeks out. And then I'm like, all right, no problem, we do New York Pro. Then Rich Siegelman calls me up, because he wanted my company to sponsor the event, calls me up and he's like, June 20th, we've already gotten clearance from the governor, we're definitely having the show. I'm like, sweet. I post on Instagram, you know, 12 weeks out from the June 20th Boston Pro, here I come. And this girl hits me up, they canceled the show last night. I'm like, what? What? So then I was like, oh man, if I was still hanging in there, I was like, all right, I'm gonna do the New York Pro. And then when I got COVID, I was like,
Tampa 2. It's defense.
yeah. When I got COVID, I was like, all right, it's just time for me to chill for a second. And great thing though, I got my blood work done. They said it's the best it's been in like 7 years.
Right.
So,
Yeah, man.
And again, it's all about being strategic, right? It's not about reacting to you don't want to knee-jerk react to things. You want to be strategic, and you know, you got to make sure that you make the right decision. Like, for example, this show, I haven't dieted since February.
that's my point. Your mental toughness is awesome.
Well, because instead of thinking one way, I think another, right? So I wasn't going to do it anymore. You and I talked about it, I don't know, about 2 weeks before I decided to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, just, you know, everybody in the gym, I think you did too, Akil, or a bunch of people are like, yeah, just forget it, we'll do it next year. And I'm like, yeah, you know what, I'm tired of dieting, and I'm tired of fat sacrificing. And then I like, because I'll say something wrong, dude, I'll go away and I think.
I thought you and I talked about you doing Masters Nationals too. That's what you and I talked about. I didn't tell you not to do a show.
Oh, I don't think you did, because I'm not sure I even spoke to you about it. But my point is, I had made up, it doesn't matter what other people say. It matters just what I think.
I'm just saying, don't put me out there like the guy that
My
said
point is, I had in my mind I was going to.
I'm coaching you off the stage.
Yeah, I know.
I had in my mind, I don't know if this show's going to happen. Why train for a show that I don't, and sacrifice and suffer for a show that I know may not happen? And within 48 hours, I went from that to, I'd rather be ready and not have a show than have a show and not be ready and sit there and say I could have won. I can't live my life that way. You get it?
And you look cool the whole time anyway. I mean, this is what you love to do.
comes full circle to the beginning of the conversation, right? Which is, if you're not doing things for the reason, especially bodybuilding, if you're not doing this because you love the sport, you ain't never going. How many people have we seen come and go?
Oh yeah,
Come and
so
go.
many people
And great bodybuilders come and go.
That mental game is everything. That's why I wanted to bring it
Super
up.
hard, dude.
Yeah,
It's
and
super duper hard.
If nothing else, because I've had tough times. I mean, you know, I tell people see me now, I have this great life, and I tell people, you know, sometimes you go in the movie theater. I think I told this to you the other day. You go a little early, and the credits from the prior movie are still running. But there was a whole movie before that. You just see the credits. Well, that's what you guys see right now. It's the credits. I had a whole movie before that, where I fell on my face, got back up, I fell on my face, and got divorced. I fell on my face, I got married. I fell on my face, you know. And this is the culmination. And what you learn is, a bodybuilding show isn't so bad. If it gets canceled, I'll live.
Yeah, but do you really like food, though?
Yeah.
Do you like food?
Oh, I love food.
Do you?
You don't think I do? I have trained myself. It's a really good question. I'm going to tell you a secret. This may blow your mind. I have an eating problem. I struggle with food every single day. I want to eat food, like bad food. That's all I think about. Like, I have to put it out of my head. So what I've done is, I've just mentally trained myself not to. My relationship with food is, I eat what I have to. It's fuel. It's a tool to me. I don't think about taste. I don't think about enjoying it. I can't, because if I start going in that direction, I'll go off the rails. So I've just literally mentally trained. I love to eat. I mean,
I think for me, man, like, how about you?
I'm thinking about food right now.
Right.
When this shit ends, we're gonna go eat, right? I do it all. I eat all the good food. I eat all the bad food. I lift like an absolute fucking maniac. And I know that I've learned at my age and with a good coach that we set our target out so far, way out there, like 7, 8, 9, 10 months away, and we fucking nail it. It's super cool. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
I don't care what the guy over there, like, I feel it. There's a ton of new kids in the gym, and like, they look at you when you lift, you know? And they're like, you know, I can feel you sizing me up.
See,
I'm
I have the
fucking
luxury.
lifting I'm warming up with your mat. Stop being that guy. Be polite. Let's be a family. Let's learn.
I have the luxury of being old, so when they size me up, I know they're just thinking, wow, that guy looks good for him. So I'm like,
I mean, I love that fucking energy.
I'm getting that
man.
too, starting to get that too.
I love that shit.
You know what I'm going to start doing? So I'm 52. Now, every time I have a birthday, I'm going to tack on 5 years. So when I'm 55, I'm going to tell people I'm 75.
You're great for 75. You're killing it.
Wow!
Yeah. They're going to think you live forever. No, 131.
How do you feel about food, Rashaad?
I'm fat as shit.
Right? Okay, that's your answer.
That's
your
my
final
answer.
answer.
You know I am.
No, I
Well,
think
so
he's
you-
it, man. I think I've
We're all
got
like
the best
that.
under
Oh, yeah,
control.
definitely.
And you know me, when I look in the mirror, what I see is nothing but flaws, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, dude, I don't
so-
eat hoagies. I don't eat cheesesteaks. I don't eat anything like that.
Oh, I do.
burgers. That's what I eat.
I do.
I mean, you'll catch a boy having a
I'll
beer.
season
I
it
like
all.
cheeseburgers, but I can only I
You'll
eat
eat
Mexican food.
You'll eat steak if I'm paying.
Yes. But yeah, but that's on my diet. You know, those are the things that I'm used to. I don't not like the food that I eat every day.
Yeah.
It's when he starts fucking with the portions is when it's an issue.
Yeah.
It's not that who doesn't want steak, salmon, and chicken 5 times a day. I mean, I eat like a king, man. I eat like a king.
I know why you asked that. Because I don't talk about it. I don't verbalize. I don't complain. I never talk about, because I've learned that if you talk about it,
It starts to consume you.
Negative, then it's a negative energy that comes into you. I'm not that special.
Well, I just think-
I just have learned to just.
You know, like you got
Mentally
people. I
tough.
mean, you really got people. Like I've got clients that range from, I don't like food, like, you know, but you like food.
Oh, I love food.
And the thing is, it's like it's not like for instance, my assistant Kate, she doesn't really like junk food. Like she'll have her things she likes, and even that, like one of her treats like a mattress bar. It's not really junk food, you know. And she likes a couple other things, but she doesn't really like anything that's just
Now we're talking.
Like I love
calorie
ice cream. Like ice
jam.
cream. I love ice cream.
Yeah, so like for me, I know.
Yeah, I just eat it. I don't lie to myself.
For me, my relationship with
I have a
food
good relationship with myself.
It's
It's 100%
definitely-
honest.
better now than it was when I was heavily competing. Because when you're doing, you know, there were years I did 8 shows in one year, you know,
Yeah, you eat something like that, and you feel the guilt is so bad that it's almost even worth it.
What even that? Like I didn't have, like now I can go and like I thought this was unheard of before, but now I can eat a half a sub, rub it up, roll it up,
For sure, yeah.
put it away, and then come back to it, and, the next day or something like that. Right. When I was when I was competing heavily and always in shape and everything, there was always like I got this cheat meal or cheat day, and then I'm back on my diet. So it was overconsumption of everything. It was just like I sit down and I go, and I remember a perfect example. We got back from Trinidad. I guest posed in Trinidad. We get back and we're gonna start prep for the Olympia. And I'm like, let's go to Atlantic City for 3 days. She's like, well, George said you're supposed to be on your diet. I'm like, 3 days ain't gonna kill us. Let's just go to Atlantic City. And then we end up, after a couple more conversations, end up being 2 days. In that 2 days, I can't tell you what I consumed, but I was just like 15 pounds up.
Yeah, I could take up my whole six-pack and make it disappear in one day.
Yeah, I was like...
One day, all the cuts are gone.
I over-dieted for the USA the year that Chris... I ended up being a light heavyweight. I started my diet, I was 268. I ended up being 196. So I didn't place in the top 50. I have no business being a light heavyweight, so I didn't place anywhere, right? If I told you that I started eating that afternoon, and within 72 hours, I was back to 268.
I would say...
In 2.5, 3 days, I couldn't breathe.
I did it.
I couldn't breathe, right? So...
Yeah, I've been sick.
I'm not that extreme. I went 56 pounds in 3 days.
But I do what you do, which is I don't eat myself until one of the reasons why I'm leaner now than I was even like you saw that picture when I was 290. I would eat everything on the plate, everything, and if there was still more food, I would keep eating and keep eating and keep eating. I don't do that. So even if I do cheat, like I'll get a pint of ice cream, I eat the pint of ice cream, that's it.
That's it. Yeah.
I'm done. But I can't really eat as much. I don't know if you're like this, but as I get older, I can't eat as much as I used to.
I haven't been able to eat as much since I had the salmonella poisoning. Like ever since then, my appetite's not the same. Like I don't
have the appetite I used to eat.
Like one of my meals right now is 12 ounces of beef and 3 cups of pasta.
That's a lot of food.
And I'm getting it in now, but it took me a few weeks to get acclimated to that. And I'm getting it, but before, yeah, that wouldn't have been.
Like if I go to eat pizza, I'll eat 2 slices of pizza and I'm good.
And you're good, right?
Sure, but I could eat the whole box. However you want.
I used to eat the whole pizza times 2 sometimes.
I did that today. I had 2 slices of pie at my mom's.
I got thrown out of a sushi restaurant once. All you can eat sushi? You go home now! You have enough, because I was ordering it. I ate 100 pieces of sushi in one sitting, and they literally said, you go home now. She said, no more. I would get the plate and order, okay, I'll have 10 of this, 6 of this, and they were all rolls, but it was all you can eat. And they finally asked me to leave.
Me and my powerlifting team, we went to Pizza Two Go's after a practice one time, it was squat day. We go to Pizza Two Go's, and it's all you can eat pizzas. And I think after like 11 pizzas, they were like,
get out.
We can't.
Yeah, we're
not related.
Money,
not related at all. But I had a friend, we were hanging out one time, and so ordered some pizza. We had Little Caesars pizzas, the $5 ones, and he said, yeah, everybody get like 2 slices or whatever. So he acted like nobody saw him do it. Got 2 slices of pizza close together and ate it as one. We saw him go back for another. It was like, hey, yo, you had your 2. It's like, that was 1 slice pizza. What are you talking about?
Say what's up.
You try to find a loophole.
That's big.
In business, we call that a loophole.
Yeah, I know.
But that's. I think there's good talking points from the COVID issue, because it's not just about bodybuilding. There's a lot of reports on TV about people with depression.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think people, I think what makes us different than the general public is, we have the focus and the drive, but we also know what it is we want. And I've gone to many management training seminars and with GE and so forth. It's the same in business as it is in life, and that is, if you don't know where you're going, I can promise you'll never get there.
Yeah,
that's
right.
true.
And I think many people are just floating around, and now, like right now, they're, I don't know what to do because I didn't know what I was doing before this.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah.
You know where you're going.
Yeah.
You want to ask me where I'm going to be in 5 years? I'm going to be president of the bank I'm running, and I'm going to move into a 10,000 square foot home. I'm looking at homes now for 5 years from now because I know.
Dream building.
So that's one way to look at it. But if you call it dream building, it's not real, right? I look at it as
Goal setting. Just setting goals.
Well,
but if the goal, but you got to be able to touch and feel it. You got to be able
yeah,
to,
that's why
that's
why I said
I took a seminar one time. It did so well they asked me to come back and speak at it in Chicago one.
You hit my point. I tell you all the time. Go ahead, do it.
Yeah, my God.
So the guy says we were all selling life insurance at the time, and you know a little bit about that business. So, guy says, okay, I want you to stand up. Tell me what's your goals. Well, tell me a goal. Oh, I want to be I want to save people's lives and protect their lives, and I want to be this, and I want to all very abstract discussions about definitions of who they were and what. He says, Jack, stand up and tell them what your goal is. I said, my goal. I said, you guys ever see Miami Vice? I said, I want a 1987 Ferrari Testarossa, white with white leather interior, 12 cylinder. And he goes, and can you close your eyes and imagine yourself shifting? Oh yeah, I do it all the time. That's a goal. And by the way, 18 months later I had it. I bought it in Orlando. True story.
We need to go back to that Bentley dealership.
I was driving down the 4 and they had one in the window. I literally just went down there and I'll take it.
There you
They
go.
were laughing at me like, yeah, you're going to buy for it. Get the fucking invoice, let's go. But anyway, you got to have goals. You have goals. I know you have goals because you're building a business and you need to know and have an idea where you want to be 6 months, a year, 2 years, 5 years.
Just had the discussion today with them.
Because when you know what you want,
Yep.
all you got to do is backtrack.
Yep.
And the steps, right?
Yep.
Okay,
Ooh,
if I
no, I tell you all the time.
if
I tell you all that all
if
the
I
time.
want to get
Don't
there,
say shit about backtracking.
if I want
I
to,
do.
if I want to
Never
get
say
there,
shit to me.
Hold
Reverse
on.
engineer.
The way I say it is this: if you know how much money you want to make,
you break it down.
then you know how many sessions
You
you
just
need,
drill down.
how many clients you need to make those sessions. You go, I've never had that discussion.
You said it like that. You ain't say
Okay,
shit
all
about
right, the same
backtracking.
thing.
You drill, but it's exactly the same. That's really a good way to quantify it. You take a number. I want to be rich. Well, what is rich?
Yeah.
Yeah, what is it?
What does that
Weekly,
mean?
then you get it to
My
hourly.
first year in life insurance business, I wanted a Rolex. So I took the picture, it was a GMT Master, and I put it in front of me, and every time I had to pick up the phone, I'm looking at the watch. I had a fucking watch.
I did that. I swear to God, I did that with my first motorcycle.
But if you have that goal, because I believe you can will yourself into things. You can overcome obstacles, because if you want something bad enough,
I'm telling you, I became a professional bodybuilder.
right.
Yeah.
I seen it happen.
Right.
I believe nobody believes in me now more than fucking me.
Yeah,
man.
he started
But you
his own
understand.
business.
Yeah.
But you understand. But my point is, the three of us sitting here, and I assume Rashaad too. I don't know you well enough to say yes or no, but let's assume yes. That's what sets us apart from the regular people.
Yeah, in a pandemic,
If
I'm
I
still
told Freddie,
going in a forward.
I want you to here's a business opportunity that had nothing to do with any of this. And if he wanted to, he'd figure it out. He'd figure it out and be successful at it. Doesn't matter if it's bodybuilding, same thing as you. Doesn't matter if it's building a business. Doesn't matter what it is. What matters is, do I really want to do it or not? And can I see myself doing it? Is that really my goal? Is that what I want? A lot of people do. They just kind of wander through life like.
Yeah, if you're running the rat race, man, COVID messed you up. You didn't know what you was doing.
Like I was telling him.
You didn't know what you were doing.
Worst, from bad to worst.
Yeah, because you literally got up every morning and you don't even. It's not even like you're on autopilot. You're not making any decisions. You're on autopilot.
Yeah, you just go in and you
Get
know
my
you,
kids there, do this, do that, go to my job, work my job, I have to get off my job, I take my kids off, and then we do this, and then we're back on the couch watching whatever show we're watching, and it becomes that's a depressing lifestyle from my point of view.
I agree.
I
you know,
always,
to some that have never really peeked over to the other side of the fence are content because
Well,
they
they
don't know
can't.
any
You have to
better.
understand that
They can't imagine.
They can't imagine themselves being on the other side of the fence. My wife is like that. My
Listen,
wife,
I
and
talk
my wife's
myself
very.
out of a lot of things.
My
man.
wife's very successful. My wife she's a senior vice president at J.P. Morgan Chase, but she'll tell you all the reasons why you can't do something. You know what I tell her?
Right.
I don't want to hear I
Yeah.
can't. I want to see the reasons why I can.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in talking about can't.
Well, I was just saying, like, because I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't have that mindset. Because I didn't realize how big of a jump I made because I'm in the military. One of my friends that was saw down there earlier this year, he was saying how if things don't work out, you still did good in the sense of I had a dead-end job. I just bought a house. Me and my fiance at the time were trying to figure things out. And I just started working with him part-time and then got my certification, everything, put it to the side. Had money to the side. I said, hey, if this doesn't work out, talking to my fiance at the time, saying, if it doesn't work out, I got money saved up to last me over the summer. I'll get a job again, boom, and then that's it. Mind you, I had my degree in criminal justice. I thought I would do something in the criminal justice field, but I wasn't doing anything. Worked with him, had a great time over the summer. Didn't make much money, but I was like, hey, this is great. I could make money this if I actually put myself to it. But then money started running out. I'm like, Fred, I got to do this part time. But then realized I hated it.
It's the same thing that when I told.
But like realized I hated my actual because I went back, got a job, paid like $27 an hour or whatever, and worked there for 4 hours. I'm like, yeah, this ain't it. Got up, left in the middle of my shift, called him. I was like, yo, we gotta do whatever we gotta do to make this work. And then this is all I do now because I didn't want to do anything. He said, but the fact that you had a degree, your life set for you, military, all this, and you literally just dropped everything to start something brand new because you were miserable, shows how much drive and how much dedication.
They're not taking your education from you, champ.
Yeah, and that still happens too.
They don't never take your education from you.
I have a degree in criminal justice too.
Hey,
but I'm in finance and banking. I don't use it, but it doesn't matter. What matters is that your course can change, but as long as you have one.
Yep.
I mean, the course will always change. That's the one thing that stays constant in life is that things change. Yeah, you have to be able to, you have to embrace that. If you don't, that's a whole nother discussion. But again, like my wife, and she's very successful and very smart, but she's very rigid, and she gets very frustrated with me because I make twice as much money as she does, and I work half the hours that she does. And she can't understand, like, how do you pull this off? I mean, I'm just smart, and I work smart. I know what I'm doing, and I bring a value that she doesn't believe in her value, like I do. Right. She gets near the president or the leadership, and she shies back. I don't want to look stupid in front of these guys. Me, I'm like, get out of my way. I want the president to see me. I want to meet him. I want him to get to know me because he's going to want to know me. Right. There's a whole, and you have it, and you have it too. But I always laugh. The reason why I'm saying this, I always laugh at people that kind of look at us like we're like meatheads, and yet 10 times smarter than most people are out there. They're just wandering around.
It takes a level of discipline to
wandering
look like
around.
This.
It does.
It's not easy. It's not luck. I see that in many forms. It could be the kid that has dreadlocks. You know what I mean? Like you have to be patient to grow your hair that long.
Right.
Instead of saying, "Oh, you look goofy," or you see the woman that wears her veil. That's discipline, man. When you look different than everybody else, to be ridiculed but stay the course.
Yeah.
So I see a wealthy person, and you see luck, or do you see somebody that did things that they said they were crazy, and they worked when other people said they justified pleasure. I need to be off, man. I deserve to go out and go to the bar and drink, and you deserve a vacation. I don't fucking deserve anything except for to provide and head towards the goal. And my goal and my dream are the same, to provide for my family.
Yeah, luck is no such thing. It's
you make it.
Chance meeting preparation.
That's it, man.
If you're not prepared, it's like the show. Like I moved. I was going to do the November show. I moved up to October. People are like, why are you doing that? I'm like, well, I guess you're sick of dieting. I'm like, there's nothing to it.
Yeah, get one in before they cancel. Yeah, let's do it.
The November show's gonna be inside. The October one's gonna be outside. I talked to the promoter. He said the October one has a better shot of happening. So I'm going with the October one. It's nothing to do with 6 legs less. If I had to die another 60 weeks, I would. I don't care. It's not. It has nothing to do with it.
Right. All right, man. This was good stuff. Good stuff. You got anything you want to throw out there?
Where are we eating at, champ?
Yeah, we like food.
Do we have a food sponsor?
Check this out. Check this frustrating morning out. I get rear-ended.
Oh shit, for real?
Yeah.
In the big truck?
In my wife's van. And
whole fleet's dinged up.
Yeah, right. Sucks. But it wasn't my fault, so hopefully they fix it. And if they don't fix it, hopefully they total it. Got gap insurance.
Okay. That's what you want.
Get the gap insurance. So then I get home. We had this lady house sitting while we were away. I had my meals delivered by meal dealers yesterday.
She didn't put them in the refrigerator.
Not only did she not put them in the refrigerator, she didn't even bring the shit out and bring the shit in until this morning.
Oh shit!
Right, and then she left it on the dining room table. Didn't even put it in the fridge. My dogs got into it.
Oh damn!
And onions are poisonous for dogs. Onions all in it, and I'm like,
oh, that's all.
Man, you gotta be kidding me, And then I'm having this patio done at my house, and the guy said it'd be done perfectly done. Gate to be back up. Everything's perfect. It's been too long anyway because of all the rain. I go out there, half done. I'm like, damn it.
Yeah.
So then I said, you know what? It's going to be a good day because I got Jack, and I got Ed, and my man Rashaad. So
There it is.
thanks again for watching Big Talk, or listening to Big Talk, where we encourage you to believe in yourself, inspire others, and grow on a daily basis, both mentally and physically. Peace. Have a great week.